I'm expecting Dune Part 3 to be the best film in the trilogy, and here's why. The first two Dune films, both adapting the first book in the series, were phenomenal adaptations and utterly stunning cinematic epics unlike anything produced since The Lord of the Rings. However, as much as I love them, I can't help but feel they stripped the story of its emotional core. As faithful as the films have been, the first two almost surgically removed all the key subplots and character beats that made me connect to the characters in the book and gave the story its personal stakes. I'm sure these decisions were made with the intention of streamlining the story, but they inadvertently lost what made the book so emotionally gripping. Part 1, in removing all the scheming and suspicion among the Atreides household that arose from the knowledge that there was a traitor in their midst, also lost the personal stakes that made their situation so terrifying and heartbreaking. We lost the strain that it put on the relationship between Leto and Jessica, and the character development that strain gave each of them and the many supporting characters around them. No longer was this a story about a family being tragically torn apart by fate, fear, and politics. Now the threat was entirely external, and all that was at stake was surviving to the next film. This dramatic simplification of the conflict may have kept the runtime manageable, but it came at the expense of what made it so compelling. Then, Part 2 drastically condensed the timeline, making it impossible for Paul to marry Chani and start a family within the runtime as he does in the book. There, he is so reluctant to embrace his messianic role and give up his humanity for fear of losing the home he's found and the family he's built, just as he lost the home and family that was taken from him. And he finally surrenders to his fate after he loses his infant son in a Harkonnen attack, and resolves to do whatever it takes to avenge his old house and protect his new people. In the film, though, with no new family to lose, his arc feels motivated more by external forces than internal pain, and the timing of his choice feels rather arbitrary, as if he made it only because it was that point in the runtime. Thus, as awesome as these two films are, I struggled to connect with them as I did with the first book. However, the second book is inherently much slower, more thoughtful, and far more character-driven than the original. Both books had compelling character work and as much introspection as action, but Dune Messiah is much less plot-driven than the first book, and has far fewer dramatic action set pieces to rely upon, making it harder for an adaptation to strip it down to a simple action film. Now, the trailer did show lots of action that seems to be from flashbacks to events before those in the book, so the film may be much more action-driven than the source material, but unless he makes some massive changes to drastically simplify the story, Denis Villeneuve will be hard-pressed to remove the emotional heart from it to the degree he did in the previous films.